Oh, good morning, legends. It's Thursday. It is day 15 since running, except for before I ran for 38 seconds just up here and, still a bit sore. But that's okay. There's also a guy over there gardening and using a lawnmower, and I guess it is just his job, but doesn't he know that I'm recording today? But anyways, during this 15 days of not being able to do a great deal, I've realized that I'm actually quite good or getting better at being lazy. Like, I've been doing way more strength work just to maintain all that strength that I built up. And I've been doing that, every other day. And that's going really good. And then the rest of the time, I'm basically just doing nothing. Well, except for trying to sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I've been doing that quite a bit. But holy shit, is that the most frustrating experience that a human being can ever go through, trying to sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace. But what I started to realize is that going to the gym to do the strength work is kind of pointless. And I also don't really like the gym anymore. It's kind of crap. You got people everywhere peacocking and stuff like that. Not really a fan. So I've developed a strength routine that I can do every other day at home to get the same benefits, maybe even more. And also, I can just wear my pajamas while I do strength training, which is epic. So I'm going to show you that routine today, right after I finish work and right after I sell my drone on Facebook Marketplace. But I want you guys to let me know what kind of strength training you do, how often you do it, how many reps and sets, what exercises you choose. Let me know anything you want actually about strength training, even if it's just some fun facts or anything. Just comment something, all right? Let's go to work. Okay, first things first. This is not an optimal routine, If on one side of the spectrum there is absolute optimization, on the other side there's convenience for normal day people. We're gonna be about here, okay? The thing is about running, if I wanted to be optimal, then, I would quit my job and I'd sleep 10 hours a day and I'd get on some EPO and, do strength training in between my double runs and all that kind of crap. But realistically, that's never gonna happen. I'm not that talented and I'm really prone to being injured. This is all about the convenience of getting this done at home without having to go anywhere and not really requiring a great deal of equipment. Now, the optional choice is to get weight plates like this. Now, the benefit of these is that they're heavy and they're relatively dense, which means that they take up less space. But what you can also do, if you want to be even more convenient, is that you can get a backpack. You can fill it full of books, and then you could use that as your weight, and then, maybe you can save a bit of money. I don't know. But I like to use the weights because I bought them during COVID, and I kind of really want to use them as much as I can. This is a much better option than going to the gym because the gym's bloody boring. Now, the next thing to think about is the shelf life of this training routine. Like I said, it's not very optimal, but it's going to get the job done, and it's the current routine that I personally am doing every other day. Will I do this same routine every other day for the rest of my life? No, I'll probably do this for a couple of months and I'll switch it out to something different, because what tends to happen is that you get diminishing returns, just like you're running. If you're running, 100 Ks per week or something like that, that effectiveness of training stimulus gets less and less over time because you're squeezing all of the juice out of your training. Same thing with strength training. What we want to do is add in variety over time, changing things up, changing the different things that you're doing, changing the rep ranges and things like that. This routine is more about convenience rather than optimization. I'm going to do this one for a couple of months, and you probably should too. It's going to skew mostly towards building strength specifically for running in running ranges of motion, but it's also just as valid to change out the routine to do full range compound lifts and stuff like that, and you're going to get a pretty good stimulus from that. And I personally would probably start to do that kind of compound lifting, generalized stuff in your base training, for example, or something like that. But like I said, this routine is the thing that I'm doing right now, and so I'm going to make a video about it. So let's get started.
Hello.
single leg squats is the first one. Now, the single leg squat is a vital movement for any runner. And yes, you can do double leg squats like I said, but single leg is way cooler. Now, I like to do my single leg squats at the moment on my toes like this, because it kind of helps you to bring that knee in front of the toes. It seems a little bit more functional in relation to running, and you know, it makes my calves burn like hell, and that's great. Now, like I said before, double leg stuff is valid and you can do that kind of stuff, but I think there is a lot of value and a lot of, you know, progression that you can squeeze out of doing single leg stuff, especially for running. You know, that pattern of loading up just one side of the body and not the other for exercises can also be quite fun. And the best thing about single leg squat is because you're on one leg, you have to actually stabilize your hips, okay? Because when you're standing here, you're basically just using your legs and your glutes. But if you stand on one leg, you're stopping yourself from falling this way by using your glute muscles. And so that's just kind of like an extra little bit of hip stability stuff, which, you know, a lot of people have a lot of issues with when running. And so once again, to make this a little bit more specific to running, we're not utilizing the entire range of the lower leg like you would with like a really deep barbell squat, because you don't really need it in running. And like I said, this is not about being optimal. This is about giving you enough strength to be able to run, not to double leg squat ass to grass, even though I can. See, look at the heels. The heels do not come off the ground. All the way down, all the way up. Easy. Okay, the next exercise is...
Watch out for your tail, mate. There you go.
A single leg bridge. Okay, all you do is put the weight on your hips. One leg in the air, the other one pushes up. Very epic, very fun. Underrated exercise. The best thing about this is that you can take the heel and actually move it further out, okay? So the further out that we move it to about there, that's very specific to running. Now, the next thing to understand about this strength training routine is the rep ranges and the dosage of what you're actually doing. You see, we're only focused on improving our overall strength rather than trying to build muscle or build power or anything like that. All we're trying to do is build baseline strength that will help us to be more resilient with our running. It's all about resilience. So we're aiming for around 5 reps for, I don't know, 3 sets or something like that. It's going to be relatively straightforward. It's going to be hard during the set, but it's not going to be so fatiguing that it's going to impact your training too much. Now, you could go down the pathway of doing higher rep stuff, and that might be good for a certain time of the year when you're trying to get maybe more conditioned. Maybe you're trying to bring up certain stability muscles or something like that, or trying to recover from an injury. That can also be really important, doing high rep stuff. But to get the neurological power and the strength in the muscles, you need to either do plyometrics or do this high weight, low repetition work. Okay, plyometrics, amazing stuff. We'll do a video about that at some point, but this is all about this budget strength training routine, baby. Let's go. Okay, let's move on to the calves. Now, calf raises might be the most important exercise that any runner could even do. You see, the thing is, I find that my calves, when I stop running like I have done for the last 15 days, my calf strength starts to drastically go down, much faster than my hamstrings or my quads or glutes or anything like that. Calf strength is so important because it essentially is what's providing at least 70% of your forward propulsion down the road. So if your calves are really weak, you're losing out on so much gains. You're losing out on a lot of gains. Now, all you have to do realistically is a couple of sets every other day, probably 5 reps, like I said before, with a heavy weight, single leg off a step. Now, if you have any Achilles issues at the moment, I probably wouldn't recommend doing anything off a step. I would work my way into that, but off the step is the goal to get to. Keep that knee bent, and these are going to be so good for your running. Now, there's 2 different calf muscles that work in tandem, and it depends on the actual angle of the knee itself. You see, one of the calf muscles, the bigger one that's on top, the one that all the girls like, that actually attaches above the knee, meaning that it helps to flex the knee much more than the other one, which kind of attaches below the knee itself. Essentially, what that's saying is that when your knee is bent, you're using one muscle, and when your knee is straight, you're using the other one, more predominantly, okay? Running, we're never running on a straight leg unless something's seriously wrong. So we want to work the muscle that's actually utilized when bending, which is the gastrocnemius, which is why I'm doing the calf raises out there with a slight knee bend, and you should too. 70% of your forward propulsion comes from calves. So we've got to smash those calves at least every other day because, they're fun. Okay, the last exercise for today, like I said, this is not optimal. This is just the stuff that I'm doing right now to kind of keep myself going and will probably make a big benefit for you. Now, we're going to attack the core and the glutes at the same time with this epic side plank exercise. And, if you can't do it, it's a pretty good sign that you have very weak glutes/core. So this one's very important. Okay, so we go on our side like this, get that toy out of the way, and we go in the air, and then the twist, we hold that leg in the air too. Now the trick is to not fold at the hips like this, it's to stay nice and straight for 30 seconds, which is pretty hard. And the reason why this exercise is something that I've picked to put on the end of this 4 exercise protocol is because it hits both hips at the same time, because you're holding yourself in the air with one leg and holding the other leg in the air with that leg, and you're attacking the core, which is really, really valuable, and it's kind of like a bang for your buck exercise. But let me know in the comments what you would change from this routine, what you would add in, what you would take out, anything. Just comment literally anything and I'll reply and we can have a good chat. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Fix Me Friday. If you have any injuries, let me know. Just let me know and we'll cover it tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow.